The Bhopal Disaster, 1984. The world's deadliest industrial accident on the night of December 2nd to 3rd, 1984, in the quiet city of Bhopal, India. The world witnessed one of the darkest moments in industrial history. It was supposed to be an ordinary evening. Families were returning home, children were falling asleep, and factory workers were finishing their shifts. But within a few hours, an invisible killer would descend upon the city, leaving behind devastation, grief, and scars that are still felt today. This tragedy, later known as the Bhopal Gas Tragedy, became the largest chemical disaster in human history. It was not caused by war or natural disaster, but by negligence, poor safety standards, and the pursuit of profit over human lives. The background: a factory of promise. In the 1970s, the multinational corporation Union Carbide Corporation, UCC, based in the United States, built a pesticide plant in Bhopal. The idea was simple: to provide cheap pesticides to Indian farmers and boost agricultural production. At the time, it was seen as a symbol of progress. The plant produced a pesticide called carbide, which required the use of a dangerous chemical, methyl isocyanate, MIC. B is highly toxic. A few drops on the skin can cause severe burns, and inhaling it can be deadly. Despite this, huge quantities of MIC were stored in large tanks at the plant, located just a few kilometers away from residential neighborhoods. From the outside, the factory looked like an engine of modern development. But inside, serious problems were growing. Safety standards were being ignored, equipment was poorly maintained, and employees often complained about leaks and accidents. Management, however, dismissed concerns, insisting that everything was under control. The night of the disaster, on December 2nd, 1984, around 11:00 p.m., workers noticed unusual pressure building inside one of the storage tanks containing MIC. This should have been an immediate emergency, but due to cost-cutting, many safety systems had been shut down or were not functioning. The refrigeration system, which was supposed to keep MIC at low temperatures, had been turned off. The flare tower, meant to burn off toxic gases, was out of service. The gas scrubber, designed to neutralize leaks, was not working. At around 12:30 a.m., water entered the MIC tank due to poor maintenance. This caused a violent chemical reaction. Pressure and temperature rose uncontrollably. Within minutes, the tank erupted, releasing a toxic cloud of MIC gas into the atmosphere. A white, dense mist began rolling over the sleeping city. The wind carried the deadly cloud into the crowded neighborhoods surrounding the plant. The human horror Bhopal was asleep. Most people had no idea what was happening. As the gas spread, people began to choke, their eyes burned, lungs filled with fluid, and many collapsed in the streets trying to flee. Panic erupted. Families ran in every direction. But the gas was faster. Entire neighborhoods were suffocated. Witnesses described terrifying scenes. Mothers clutching their babies, unable to breathe, people vomiting, coughing blood, and losing sight due to chemical burns, thousands collapsing before they even reached safety. By dawn, thousands of people were dead. The official immediate death toll was estimated at around 3,000, but in the following days, weeks, and months, the numbers climbed drastically. Independent organizations estimate that over 20,000 people ultimately died from the disaster and its aftereffects. More than 500,000 people were exposed to the gas. Survivors suffered chronic illnesses, blindness, breathing difficulties, cancers, and birth defects in children born years later. The aftermath hospitals in Bhopal were overwhelmed. Doctors had no idea what chemical they were dealing with because Union Carbide initially refused to disclose the exact substances released. Without information, medical staff were forced to improvise treatments. Many lives could have been saved, but corporate secrecy cost precious time. Anger soon turned to protests. An impromptu protest called 10 Patradas led to more than 100,000 workers. 11,000 of them were released. Survivors demanded justice, while Union Carbide tried to minimize responsibility, claiming the disaster was the result of sabotage. The company's chairman at the time, Warren Anderson, briefly visited India but quickly fled back to the United States, never facing trial in India. In 1989, Union Carbide reached a settlement with the Indian government for $470 million. 0 cents. While it seemed like a large amount, it was tragically insufficient for the scale of the disaster. Families of victims received only small compensations, often less than a few $100s. For many, this was not justice but an insult. Legacy of Bhopal. Nearly 4 decades later, Bhopal still carries the scars of that night. Toxic chemicals remain buried in the soil, contaminating water supplies and affecting new generations. Children continue to be born with physical and mental disabilities linked to the disaster. The site of the factory itself is abandoned, a ghostly reminder of what happened. Rusting structures and broken machinery stand as silent witnesses to corporate negligence and government failure. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy raised global awareness about industrial safety, corporate accountability, and environmental justice. It forced new regulations on hazardous industries. But for the people of Bhopal, justice has never truly been served. A lesson never forgotten. The Bhopal disaster is more than a historical event, it is a warning. It shows what can happen when profit is valued above human life, when warnings are ignored, and when corporations are not held accountable. Every year, survivors and activists gather in Bhopal to remember the victims. They march with photographs of loved ones, demanding that the world never forget. The tragedy remains one of the darkest chapters in human history, and it serves as a painful reminder. Safety and accountability must come before profit. Always.